Hello, everyone, and welcome to our webinar, Fall and Winter Picture Books. I'm Ronny Khuri, a senior editor at Booklist. And before we begin, I will go over some technical details. Links to today's slide presentation and title list were included in the reminder email that you should have received from Zoom 1 hour ago. If you want to download them, you can open that email, scroll to the bottom, and click on the links located there. You can also download the slides and title list by typing the URLs on this screen into your web browser. If you have any trouble accessing these materials, please contact us at webinars@booklistonline.com. If you're in the audience, you are in listen-only mode, but we do welcome any questions you may have. So on the bottom of your Zoom screen is a toolbar with a button for Q&A. If you have a question, if you need technical assistance, just click Q&A and type your message into the box that pops up. We will do our best to respond to all of the tech-related questions, and we can pass along all other questions to today's panelists, and they will be able to follow up with you after the webinar. Booklist also offers closed captioning on all of our webinars. To enable or disable captions on your screen, please look for and click the captions icon on the toolbar that I mentioned before. From there, you can select show or hide captions from the menu that appears. If you choose to enable subtitles, you can adjust the size of the captions at any time by selecting caption settings. And finally, Booklist expects all participants to maintain an atmosphere of respect, of course, and anyone who violates this standard of behavior may, at the discretion of the organizers, be immediately removed. Today, we have the pleasure of hearing from Deidre Purvis, Acquisitions Editor for Free Spirit Publishing. We've got Sandra Sutter, owner and publisher at Gnome Road Publishing, and Katie Halata, Director of Library Marketing at Random House Children's Books. And first, we will hear from Deidre Purvis. Deidre is the Acquisitions Editor for Free Spirit Publishing, the leading publisher of books to support young people's social, emotional learning and well-being. She acquires board books, picture books, and nonfiction books for kids and teens. Deidre's former roles include children's book list curator, bookseller, and teacher. She holds an MFA in creative writing from Hamline University. Thank you so much for joining us, Deidre.
Hi, thank you for having me. I am excited to share Free Spirits 2024 fall list. You can move to the next slide. So I want to start by sharing Free Spirits parent company, Teacher Creative Materials, and a little bit about us. Teacher Creative Materials began in 1977 when founder and CEO Rochelle Cracchiolo wrote her first book, Quick Fun Art, with a fellow teacher. Starting in the garage of a second grade teacher, TCM continued to expand its product line, always using the latest research and best classroom practices to ensure student success. As our company has grown, one thing has remained consistent. Teachers around the world depend on us to produce quality, easy-to-use, educationally sound materials. Today, Teacher Creative Materials is a leading educational publisher with products that are used in classrooms in all 50 states and in 89 countries. Everything we publish is still created by teachers, for teachers and students, and each year we provide professional development to over 10,000 teachers. In 2021, TCM expanded its reach beyond the classroom into homes around the world when we acquired Free Spirit Publishing, taking us to the next slide. And for over 40 years at Free Spirit, we stayed true to our mission. Next. To provide children and teens and the adults who care for and about them with the tools they need to think for themselves, overcome challenges, and make a difference in the world, dovetailing perfectly with TCM's mission. And so these are the books that I am here to talk with you today. Next, we have a quick about me. I already had a great introduction. Just as a reminder, I'm the acquiring editor for Free Spirit Publishing. I acquire board books, picture books, and nonfiction books for kids and teens. I have my email address there on the screen. If you have any questions or feedback, anything like that, I love hearing from customers and readers, and so don't hesitate to reach out. And next, I'll move into our list. So I'm excited to talk about these books. Next slide. Starting with the release of the first two books in our new picture book series, Thank You World. This series is by debut author Dan McCauley, a lifelong educator and learning advocate, and illustrated by Joe Loring Fisher. The Thank You World series features lyrical stories about appreciating nature, connecting with our senses, and being present in the moment. These soothing books help young readers let go of stress, observe without judgment, and remain optimistic. Each book follows a child on a mindfulness walk, connecting with both family and nature. At the heart of this series are the SEL skills of gratitude, mindfulness, and awe, all so important for our mental health. Characters are featured noticing and appreciating the world around them, and reading these beautiful stories will inspire readers to do the same. So let's dig into these two gorgeous books. Next, we'll see a spread from Thank You Night. In Thank You Night, a child is feeling anxious as the day winds down. Then he hears a soft breeze greeting him with a tap on his window. Curious, he decides to go for a walk with Papa. They wander where nature beckons, following their senses and letting their minds find peace. Eventually, they arrive at the seashore where they stand in awe, observing the vast ocean and the stars above, before returning home, relaxed and ready to sleep. Thank You Night demonstrates the benefits of mindfulness, models how to let go of the stress at the end of the day, and encourages calm reflection and gratitude for the world around us. And it's absolutely packed with these beautiful illustrations of nature. Next, we'll look at Thank You Rain. In Thank You Rain, a family walk in the rain helps a young girl gain perspective and appreciate nature in all its forms. Watching rain dance down her window, a child is feeling cooped up and gloomy because she can't go outside. Then her dad comes home and insists they go out on their evening walk in the rain. Together, Dad, the girl, and her little brother enjoy the rain as it dances. Then they dance too. When the rain becomes a downpour, they find shelter under a tree where they listen to the rain as it drums out a rhythm. Then they drum too. When it's time to go home, the girl no longer feels sad about the rain. Thank You Rain demonstrates the benefits of a positive attitude, models how to get in tune with nature's rhythms, and encourages slowing down to mindfully observe the world around us. Next, we have Addie's Chair to Everywhere by Debbie Navanti and illustrated by Joe Mike Tahito. Addie's, in this book, adventure awaits wherever friends are. This whimsical picture book celebrates children's imagination and inclusive play. Addie worries about making friends, but through her vivid imagination, she draws other children into her play. Together, Addie and her friends create an imaginative world where they can race in chariots, explore the ocean, and travel space. Addie's Chair to Everywhere features a disabled main character who uses a wheelchair, allowing readers to see the whole child. The author, Debbie Navanti, is a former elementary school teacher. After she got cancer in her leg, Debbie taught her kindergartners from a wheelchair. Amazing new friends who also use wheelchairs were welcomed into her inclusive classroom community, all inspiring this beautiful picture book. Next, we'll see a spread from Addie's Chair to Everywhere. You'll find this book is filled with fun rhyme and imaginative scenes. The rhythmic rhyming text engages young readers and highlights the importance of understanding differences and fostering inclusivity. Next, we have Papa and Pearl, a tale about divorce, new beginnings, and love that never changes by Annette M. Clayton and illustrated by Kim Barnes. This is a sweet story of the love between father and daughter that stays constant even through big change. In Papa and Pearl, Pearl loves imagining she is a princess with Mama and Papa in their magical castle until Mama and Papa get a divorce and Papa moves away. The story starts when Pearl spends her first day at Papa's new place, and it's the opposite of magical. Papa is more of the fisherman type, but throughout this story, Pearl learns that her Papa's love will never change and that different isn't always bad. This book was written by Annette M. Clayton, an author with Puerto Rican and Irish heritage, whose inspiration for this story comes from the people in her life. Next, we'll see a spread from Papa and Pearl. I love the father-daughter connection with a positive portrayal of Pearl's father, from doing Pearl's hair for picture day to fixing a tear in her dress. I think readers will find this dad absolutely lovable and very relatable. The book also features divorce in a fresh way, focusing on the love shared between father and daughter, not the divorce. And it's also packed full of Pearl's imaginative imagery of pirates, princesses, and mermaids. This is a fun, feel-good book. I'm excited to share this with children. Next, we have Sometimes When I'm Jealous by Deborah Serrani and illustrated by Kira Teese. In this gentle, supportive, and straightforward book, the reader follows a child's experience with jealousy and the related emotion of envy. Along with the main character, young children learn practical strategies for coping with these emotions. Back Matter for Adults offers more information on how children of differing ages express jealousy and envy and how to help children manage these feelings in a healthy and empowering way. This book is part of the Sometimes When collection, which is a collection of picture books helping young children work through big feelings such as worry, boredom, anger, and sadness. Because there are a lot of picture books about emotions for children for good reason, I really want to highlight what makes Sometimes When stand out. Our author, Deborah Serrani, has been a clinical psychologist for 30 years and is a go-to expert for psychological issues. Everything about these books is founded on research and accessible to young children. These books truly are must-reads for children learning about emotions. And next, we'll see a spread. You'll find Sometimes When I'm Jealous includes quiet, sensitive illustrations that accompany and support the text. And the book also features a multi-generational family of a young boy. Next, we have I Know Mad, a book about feeling mad, frustrated, and jealous by Lindsay N. Giroux and illustrated by Alicia Tiba Godoy. This book is for ages 3 to 7, and it's all about learning to identify and respond to these emotions, not only in yourself, but in others too. This is the third book in a 6-book series called We Find Feelings Clues, helping young children use body clues to recognize their own feelings and those of others. Following the first 2 books in the series, I Know Happy and I Know Sad. The title really defines this book. It's not just about identifying or feeling mad, it's about knowing mad, providing young children with a deeper foundational knowledge of emotions. The book helps children understand the connections, similarities, and differences between mad, frustrated, and jealous. Rather than only offering a surface level explanation of what each emotion means, the We Find Feelings Clues series fills the gap in the market for children to understand how to identify the body clues in themselves and others, recognizing how emotions feel and look. And this is another book where I really want to highlight the author's bio. Lindsay is a true expert in teaching emotions and SEL skills to young children. She specializes in coaching early childhood educators on implementing the pyramid model to promote social emotional development and prevent challenging behavior. She is currently the manager of educational quality, inclusion, and behavior support for Bright Horizons. And next, we have a spread. Inside, expressive and sensitive illustrations support the text through visual depictions of emotions. The reader will find the illustrations do a great job of showing the full range of body language associated with each emotion. And next, we have James Finds the Beat by Ty Chapman and illustrated by Anastasia McGlure-Williams. And James Finds the Beat. James is great at taking tests and homework, but speaking up in class, no way. Just the thought fills his chest with bumblebees. The one thing that makes the bees calm down is music. James can't bring music with him to class, though, or to the second worst place in school, the lunchroom. Everyone already has their friends. James is the odd one out. Until one day, he goes to lunch and hears something familiar. Kids are rapping in a cipher. When the girl rapping passes the beat to James, he hesitates until he gets lost in the music and finds his voice, bringing together a celebration of rap and an empowering mental health message. And James finds the beat. Hearing the beat helps James discover the courage to use his voice and find his community. School Library Journal reviewed this book, saying it's a heartwarming tale about overcoming anxiety with a meaningful epilogue where the author shares his personal experience with shyness. Ty Chapman is absolutely a rising star to watch. He is an author and poet based in Minnesota. In addition to James Finds the Beat, he is the author of Sarah Rising, Looking for Happy, Stokes, written with John Coy, and Tartarus. And next, we'll look at a spread. Focusing on a boy struggling with shyness and social anxiety, this book highlights Black joy as well as Black mental health, creating a story about and for kids who aren't always directly served by books on similar topics. It also taps into the power of rap and hip hop, celebrating their ability to build community as well as individual confidence. Next, we have The Sky is Not Blue by Joy Jones and illustrated by Sawyer Cloud. And look at that beautiful cover. I just love it. In The Sky is Not Blue, we're posed with this question. What do you see outside your window? If you're like Robert, the main character in the story, you'll see that the sky isn't always blue. Robert has an artist's eye and an independent mind who knows what he knows, even when his teacher, Mrs. Murphy, disagrees. She wants Robert to use a blue crayon to represent the sky, but Robert knows that the sky is more varied, more vivid, much more beautiful than that. Robert holds fast to what he knows and believes, and Mrs. Murphy comes to agree that the sky is not just blue. It's a spectrum of rich and changing colors that remind her of children full of joy and imagination. And this story found its way to Free Spirit after the author Joy Jones submitted it for the 2022 Black Voices in Children's Literature Contest. We fell in love with Joy's story, selected it as a finalist, and Joy was offered publication. And next, we see a spread from The Sky is Not Blue. This book invites conversation about creativity, self-confidence, and individual perspective, and it encourages children to trust and express their beliefs. Next, we have The Adventures of Cam E. Chameleon by Donna Herwick Rice and illustrated by Brian Martin. Breathe new life into learning with this early childhood fiction book. The Adventures of Cam E. Chameleon is about an adventurous chameleon written to help adults balance structured learning time and free play as part of TCM's Explore and Learn series, which is a year-long systematic program for pre-kindergarten. This is also an exciting and information-packed standalone trade book. The teeny tiny chameleon is happy in her tropical jungle, living with her 24 brothers and sisters. So why does she want to set off on an adventure across the world? In this book, we follow Cam on her adventure from the jungle to her new classroom. And next, we have a spread. Readers will find this book engages students with a captivating narrative about a daring chameleon, and it includes beautiful illustrations keeping students invested. And finally, we have Soulful Struttin' by debut author Julia Pierre Hammond and illustrated by Anna Latisse. In Soulful Struttin', a father and daughter's afternoon of cleaning becomes a celebration of music, food, and culture of New Orleans. It's a quiet Sunday afternoon of chores at Clara's house until Clara's dad starts singing and dancing, that is. With a broom and an off-key voice, Dad brings Louisiana jazz to the drudgery of house cleaning. Together, they find music in every household object as they sing and dance through a combination of jazz, blues, souls, African beats. The entire house transforms into a New Orleans parade and a day filled with harmony, soul food, family heritage, and joyful memories. And next we have a quick spread, and you will see that this is just such a joyful story inspired by the author's own childhood. And thank you so much. I'm excited to see the rest of the books presented here.
Thank you, Deidre. And next we will hear from Sandra Sutter. Sandra is the owner slash publisher at Gnome Road Publishing, aka the Top Gnome. A former attorney, counselor, and author, she has found her way to making great books with great people. She enjoys bringing together talented creatives to produce books that kids of all walks of life can find engaging, informative, and beautiful. The key concept at Gnome Road is rereadability. Sandra wears many hats at Gnome Road and currently heads their marketing and content development efforts. She's also a mom and chauffeur to two curious kids, is a crazy cat lady, and a fan of kind people. And the floor is now yours, Sandra.
Thank you, and welcome everyone. Thanks for listening today. We're excited to be part of Booklist Fall and Winter Picture Books Showcase and to share information with you about our books and our mission at Gnome Road Publishing. We'll go to the first slide. All right, for those of you who are not familiar with Gnome Road, we opened for submissions at the beginning of 2021, and our first list came out last year in 2023. Those books have received a lot of positive attention and earned a number of awards and recognition. I shared a few there. Currently, we focus only on picture books and look for material that we think has the R factor. As you just found out, that's rereadability. We hope every child can find at least one book at Gnome Road that they treasure and they want to read time and again. Our fall titles have all now released, and we have a great lineup headed your way in the winter and spring months. So we'll go ahead and take a look on our next slide. All right, the first one to come out this fall was Alpacas Make Terrible Librarians. This is by Christy Mahoney and illustrated by Chantel and Bergen Thorne. Prepare for laughs and learning in this humorous exploration of what might happen when an alpaca fills in for a librarian. From surprise haircuts and sunbathing story time to a communal dung pile and impromptu games of tag, this trip to the library is like no other. But just as you're about to tiptoe out the door, the real librarian returns and you can breathe a sigh of relief. With a zany cast of characters brought to life by the award-winning illustration team of Chantel and Bergen Thorne, this hilarious and informative story will leave readers with a good understanding of alpacas and a renewed appreciation for the librarians in their lives. I've highlighted some of the wonderful reviews that we've received on this book. We're excited to announce that there is a sequel planned with the same author and illustration team. You don't want to miss Owls Make Terrible Teachers in the spring of 2026. All right, our next slide. Emily Snook, The World's Smallest Cook. This is written by Laura Bauer, who also wrote The Imposter that came out last spring with Gnome Road, in case you know that book. And it's illustrated by Rika Celine. Emily Snook is a whiz in the kitchen and dreams of becoming an award-winning chef. With the encouragement of her favorite sous chef, her grandpa, she enters an international cooking competition, but quickly loses steam when one thing after another goes wrong. Emily fears she won't be able to measure up to the competition until she takes charge and uses her skills and her size to her advantage. Told with rhythmic rhyme and incorporating vibrant, kid-friendly illustrations, this story will delight young readers who enjoy crafting culinary creations of their own. It's a great choice for story time at the library or for enhancing classroom discussions about perseverance and positivity, and of course, for reading with grandparents throughout the year. This one's also getting a lot of positive attention, and in fact, Booklist just had a review this month, so you might want to check that out. Next slide. Trunk Goes Thunk, A Woodland Tale of Opposites. This is written by Heather C. Morris and illustrated by Chantel and Bergen Thorne, who you just saw in Alpacas Make Terrible Librarians. This lyrical nonfiction story uses word opposites such as small and large, dark and light, high and low, and fast and slow to introduce young readers to the natural recycling of fallen timber into log bridges. From bears, porcupines, and raccoons to eagles, mice and deer, and a host of forest animals, this book shows a repurposing of a fallen tree and connecting two sides of a stream together throughout the seasons. A carefully chosen color palette of soothing natural colors and a charming collection of characters bring the playful prose to life in what is certain to become a storytime favorite for young readers and a go-to book for early elementary science and language arts teachers. We can go to the next slide on this one. Okay, and rounding out our fall 2024 list is The Sorry Seeds. This is written by Tina Shepherdson and illustrated by Bong Hyun Shin. When Courtney takes an apple from her neighbor's tree without permission, she is caught and brought home to face the consequences. Unfortunately, Mrs. Smith is her neighbor and her teacher. Courtney will have to face her the next day. Tossing and turning throughout the night, Courtney realizes it's not always easy to ask for forgiveness and to authentically say she's sorry to someone she cares about. With illustrations that reflect the warmth and emotional depth of the story, young readers will look to this book as a reminder of the power within themselves to make positive choices even when it feels hard to do so. It's an excellent tool to open a discussion on making mistakes and asking for forgiveness. This is Bong Hyun's debut as an illustrator, and the author, Tina, is a retired award-winning teacher and creator of the Little Leaders podcast, where she highlights exceptional young humans who are making a small difference in the world. It turned out absolutely beautiful. I definitely go check this one out. We can go to the next slide. All right, so I want to take some time to introduce you to our winter and spring 2025 titles. We have 6 planned in that season. This includes the second in our Childhood Milestone series, a collection of humorous poems, an introduction to the Indian kite festival known as Makar Sankranti, a gorgeously illustrated introduction to historical master artists and their work, a call to action, and a sweet story dedicated to the process of healing a heavy heart. So with that, we'll move on to those books. We start with Sleepy Sea by award-winning author-illustrator Bonnie Kelso. It's dark outside, but one little girl can't fall asleep in her new bed. With the help of an unexpected friend, she discovers the weird and wonderful ways sea creatures sleep, and finally catches a little shut-eye herself. From sleeping with one eye open, upside down, or in a self-made booger bubble, readers will find plenty of fascinating facts about sleep habits on almost every page. This informational fiction story is a playful introduction to navigating a major childhood milestone that also reassures readers that no matter how you feel, you are never truly alone. This is the second book in the Childhood Milestone series by Bonnie Kelso. You don't want to miss Sea Smiles, that's available now and came out this past spring. And the third book, Sea Suds, that comes out in the spring of 2026. Together, they encompass the important events of losing a tooth, sleeping alone in a big bed, and learning to bathe and keep good hygiene. We'll move to the next one. This is Ready to Smile Again by Katie Lee Reinert and illustrated by Sarah Aziz. When the trauma of being uprooted from home causes a grieving chipmunk to stash his remaining possessions inside his cheeks, he soon realizes that holding on to too much for too long might result in losing what matters most. Combining humor, charming illustrations, and SEL themes of overcoming loss and helping others, Katie and Sarah craft a timeless story about values, the significance of feeling at home, and deciding what is truly worth holding on to. This one, I just want to mention that it does have humor, but it's a very light humor because it does have some really important themes of grief and loss, and as well as some light themes of environmental issues, because the chipmunk's tree does get chopped down, and we see that at the beginning of the story. We'll go ahead and move to the next one. This is Torrible Puns, a collection of punny poems written by Trisha Torrible and illustrated by Robert Dunn. Jokes mesh with poetry in a comical collection of rhythmic witticisms. Each poem utilizes words or phrases with double meanings, encouraging children and adults to think through different possibilities. The groan-worthy punchlines in each poem are not just terrible or horrible, they're straight up torrible. Written by Trisha Torrible, this 40-page mix of poems and additional back matter has explanations featuring everything from features everything from animals and beloved nursery rhyme characters to outer space and favorite sports. It's certain to entertain and spark imaginations. We'll move to our next page. This is Kai Poche, Minnie's Perfect Diamond, written by Suhasini Gupta and illustrated by Devika Oza. It's Makar Sankranti, the Indian festival of kites, and Minnie wants to join in the fun, but her older brother insists that flying kites is not for little girls. Using her craft-making skills, Minnie constructs her own not-so-perfect kite and learns to fly it with her brother's help. But during Sankranti, it's fair game to cut another's kite and keep it as your own. When a red kite comes along and causes a catastrophe, Minnie decides it's time to challenge the red kite to a battle in the sky. In the end, she discovers that her not-so-perfect kite is really her own perfect diamond. Suhasini Gupta and Devika Oza created an exciting story filled with culture, determination, and the love between siblings. Filled with stunning, richly colored illustrations, this book will make a delightful addition to library story times, read alouds at home and in classrooms, and is sure to have kids shouting "Kai Po Che" and making kites of their own. All right, next page or slide. Okay, Mousterworks. This is by author-illustrator Angela C. Hawkins. When young mice Cosette and Pepin join their grandmère on a visit to a mouse-sized museum, they cannot help but notice details, ask questions, and think creatively. As they move from gallery to gallery, featuring the masterworks of famous master artists, their senses are awakened to spark their imaginations. From the dribble of milk splashing out of a pail to the pitter-pat of toddling feet on a stone floor, Cosette and Pepin are inspired to create their own masterpieces using items and events found in their everyday lives, including a hunk of delicious cheese. Filled with lovely representations of famous works of art, this delightful book engages the senses and will leave readers filled with wonder and inspiration to create their own works of art. It's perfect for elementary and art teachers and library story times. And it's by award-winning author-illustrator Angela C. Hawkins, who also illustrated Nancy Best Had a Dress for us last spring. Next slide. I Rock My Hair, Pretty and Protected by the Crown Act. This is the debut by author-illustrator Angel Tate. Sometimes it's hard to stand out when others have yet to create space for individual differences. But with the encouragement and support of family, friends, and the community, one girl discovers the joy of rocking her hair in twist-outs, braids, ribbons, and more. Told in a catchy, lyrical voice and with engaging pictures and back matter about the Crown Act, this heartwarming story weaves together themes of confidence, individual expression, and learning to advocate for yourself and others. All right, and on the next slide, I have a sneak peek for you of something coming in the fall of 2025. We're already featuring this for pre-order because it's quite a popular dog that is featured here. His name is Dexter, and this is the stand-up dog. It's from content creator and proud pet parent Kinty Pasek and our award-winning author-illustrator Bonnie Kelso. The story of Dexter, it's one dog's perseverance and determination to overcome limb loss, and it's a story as unique and heartwarming as Dexter himself. If you aren't familiar with Dexter's story already, Kinty is Dexter's dog mom and manager of Dexter Dog Ore brand. Dexter and his story have been featured in places such as the Jimmy Fallon Show, the CBS News On the Road with Steve Hartman. He's traveled extensively to make appearances across the nation, including Super Pet Expos, and appeared in ads for major pet brands. You don't want to miss out on this inspiring book that we will have here available coming September 16th to 2025. The next slide. And I went ahead and put all of our featured titles here. Everything is available in ebook once they are published. So Winter Spring is not yet out, but the fall titles are. Next slide. Just a thank you slide to let you know we're out there on X and Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, all those places. So you can find us there. You can also email us at info@gnomepublishing.com, visit our website, sign up for our newsletter, all that fun stuff. Place orders directly from there or through Baker & Taylor Publisher Services, who is our distributor. We also have free book resources and additional materials on each of the books' web pages, and you can find those on teachingbooks.net. And if you have any questions, just let us know. Thanks for having us.
Thank you so much, Sandra. Finally, we will hear from Katie Halata. Katie is the Director of Library Marketing at Random House Children's Books and has over a decade of experience working in children's school and library marketing. Thank you for joining us, Katie.
Thank you, Ronnie. We can go ahead to the next slide. Before jumping into some of our upcoming picture books, I want to just call out 3 2024 highlights. These are picture books that published earlier this year and already racking up many accolades. The first one we have is The Last Stand. This is a story of a boy and his grandfather that pays loving tribute to Black farmers in the U.S., illustrated by Caldecott Honor winners Jerome and Jarrett Pumphrey. We also have Ahoy, a hilarious picture book that celebrates the joys of make-believe and hanging out with parents, from Caldecott medalist Sophie Blackhall. And then last on this slide, Noodles on a Bicycle. This is a vibrant historical picture book about Tokyo's bicycle food deliverers who balance towering trays of steaming hot noodles on their shoulders while navigating crowded city streets. And as you can see from this slide, they have many, many starred reviews among them. We can move on to the next slide. So going into books that are still yet to come, up first we have Alfie Explores A to Z. Meet Alfie, the friendly bookworm, and his pet dust bunny, Betty. When Betty runs off, Alfie travels through each letter in the alphabet searching for her and finds much more along the way. Next slide. Part Where's Waldo, Part I Spy. This is an ABC's book unlike any other. Each letter of the alphabet is its own unique destination, with a richly illustrated scene full of creatures, objects, and actions that begin with the corresponding letter, a rhymed poem, and a guide to help young readers decode each scene, as you can see here with the letter C. Next slide. The Creature of Habit tries his best. The Creature of Habit is back in a humorous picture book that tackles a perennial challenge for every kid, learning to ride a bike. Next slide. While he'd recently learned to try new things, the very big creature also learned that he wasn't always very good at everything. It turned out that trying was very hard, but the very big creature wouldn't give up. He might not be the best at riding a bike, but maybe, just maybe, he could be the best at trying to ride one. This story celebrates the power of persistence and reminds us that sometimes it's not about being the best, but about trying your best. Next slide. Here we're going to move into books that are coming out in early 2025 with To See an Owl. This is the story of Janie, a girl who has always dreamed of seeing an owl. She searches everywhere for signs of the elusive creatures, on open prairies for short-eared owls, on the beach for snowy owls, and for great horned owls in the woods near her home. Next slide. But months go by and she sees no owls. She wonders what will it take to see one. Written and illustrated by Matthew Cordell, a Caldecott medalist, an avid birder, and an owl enthusiast, this gorgeously illustrated picture book celebrates the quiet perseverance and will resonate with anyone who's experienced the anticipation of discovering a rare treasure in the wild. As Janie says, to see an owl is magic. Next slide. Wash Day with Mama. For the Black community, washing their hair can feel like an event in and of itself. For many, wash day isn't just a routine, but an intimate ritual that is a symbol of self-love and pride. This self-care practice, although individual to each person, can root them in their culture and allow them to embrace generations of hair traditions. Next slide. Filled with heartwarming illustrations, Wash Day with Mama centers a little girl cherishing each step of her hair washing routine, while Mama imparts her wisdom and stresses the importance of self-care, loving yourself, and being proud of who you are. Next slide. Space for everyone. When a little girl races down the stairs in the morning, she knows what she'll find. Papa cooking at the stove, Mama pouring tea, and everyone gathered around the family table. Neighbors stop by and there's plenty of space for them too. The table is a place for homework and crafts, aunties plaiting hair, and uncles and cousins and friends playing board games. Next slide. But soon boxes start piling up around the house and the little girl's worried about the upcoming move. Will these special moments feel the same in her new home? Moving is such a common childhood milestone and it can be difficult for kids to process. Space for Everyone reminds us that it's not the house that makes the memories, it's the people gathered around the table. Next slide. Many Things at Once. Based on Newbery Honor-winning author Vera Hirandani's own family history, Many Things All at Once is a moving story about a young girl from two different backgrounds. The girl's mother tells her stories of her mother, a Jewish seamstress in Brooklyn, New York. Her father tells stories of his mother, the girl's other grandmother, who liked to cook bubbling dal on a coal stove in Pakistan. Next slide. The girl sometimes feels as if she's the only one like me, but soon she realizes it's okay to feel and to be many things all at once. Next slide. A Forest Song. Into the forest deep and dark, with miles to go before I sleep. Beneath the holy oaks I wander. Here, oh my heart, just listen. A tribute to writers of the past, this stunning picture book by poet Kirsten Hall and award-winning illustrator Evan Turk reimagines classic lines of poetry from Robert Frost, Mary Oliver, Emily Dickinson, and Edgar Allan Poe, and others to celebrate the beauty of our forests and encourage readers to respect, honor, and be in awe of their natural wonders. Next slide. This is the perfect book to introduce young readers to poetry and remind them to appreciate our local parks and national forests. Interactive back matter includes an author's note that explains how a cento poem is created and a fun activity that walks kids through how to write their own. Next slide. The Teeny Weeny Unicorn's Great Big Wish. Once upon a time, there was a teeny weeny unicorn that wished to be big, but he never saw a shooting star and a ladybug never landed on his arm. So when he comes across a dandelion poof, he decides that he will give his wish one last try. Next slide. Oh, that's the wrong slide. Oh, there we go. With a little help from a princess and some lucky wind, the teeny weeny unicorn fulfills his wish, kind of. Kids will continue to find the teeny weeny unicorn relatable as he reaffirms he is the perfect size as he learns what it means to be big. Next slide. The Baby Who Stayed Awake Forever. Every family who has ever spent a sleepless night with a newborn baby will feel seen in this hilarious new picture book about the uncanny ability of babies to stay awake forever from a mom who's been there. They've tried lullabies, they've tried cuddles, they've tried soothing words, but now it's 3 a.m. and the baby has achieved a new level of consciousness. Next slide. Throwing binkies, climbing the crib. Is the baby going to stay awake forever? Even the neighbors would like to know. Parents and siblings of new babies will share some big laughs together as they follow a very tired family, trying to get just a few minutes of rest while their precious one jumps, pounds, yells, and even throws a 1 a.m. dance party. This is the perfect book for baby showers for parents and soon-to-be big siblings to say, congratulations, and also, I feel your pain. Next slide. Moving into some nonfiction, we have The Lonely Goose. This lyrical and poignant picture book about lost, nonfiction picture book about loss, follow the lives of a pair of Canadian geese as they perform their courtship rituals, raise nests full of chicks, and migrate the seasons, until one goose has to brave the world alone. Next slide. With scientific facts, beautiful text, and gorgeous artwork, young readers will find themselves inspired to take a closer look at the natural world around them. Bird and nature books are popular, and an extensive back matter here gives readers more info into geese and their habits. Next slide. Bird lore. Before Florence Miriam Bailey, there was no such thing as bird watching, which Matt Cordell would be very sad to know about. But Florence changed all that. A bird lover since childhood, she wanted to show the world what made these creatures special. She wanted everyone to care as much as she did, and so she taught classes, printed pamphlets, and eventually began leading bird walks so people could see them with their own eyes. The current popularity of birding is a testament to Florence's belief that science should be hands-on and accessible to anyone with a sturdy pair of shoes and curiosity in nature. Next slide. With gorgeous illustrations by award-winning artist Devin Hallsworth, Florence's story takes flight in soaring spreads that capture her inquisitive spirit and passionate advocacy for feathered friends. Rich back matter includes birding tips, biological facts, and supplemental information on the birds that will appear in the book. Next. We Leap Together. A little boy and his mother set off on a day trip. Meanwhile, a mama whale and her calf swim towards the bay. On the way, both sing, both blow bubbles, get lost, and found. Through it all, mama always stays close. Next slide. This lyrical and beautifully illustrated picture book celebrates our connection to animals and to each other and is perfect for young nature enthusiasts. Next slide. The Littlest Drop. Featuring the final artwork of one of America's most beloved and accomplished illustrators, Jerry Pinkney, this empowering picture book celebrates the idea that every one of us, from the smallest to the largest, has something to offer. When a fire starts near their home, all of the animals, from the largest elephant to the smallest ant, are too scared to do anything but watch. Next slide. All that is except for one tiny hummingbird. She knows she must do something to save her nest. With art completed by Jerry's son Brian after his death, The Littlest Drop reminds readers that we all have the power to change the world if we work together. Next slide. Cats in construction hats. Come dump dirt, pour cement, and operate a crane with a group of colorful cats. Next slide. A colorful read aloud. The simple rhyming text leads readers from blueprints to final construction in a book that is perfect for fans of Digosaurs. Next slide. Otto and the Story Tree. A cranky old bird named Otto lives in a dark and dirty house. He could dust, but who could be bothered? One day, while making his evening meal, he drops a seed on the floor. He could pick it up, but who could be bothered? And so he settles into his armchair and starts to tell a story about being caught in a fierce storm while riding in a hot air balloon. Next slide. When he wakes up the next morning, the seed has sprouted. And so at the end of the day, he settles in to spin another yarn. Finally, the sprout is a full-grown tree which grows right through the top of the house, and animals gather in its top branches every night to listen to one of Otto's marvelous stories. Otto begins his story as a lonely bird, but in the end, he's able to connect with others through the power of story. Sybert honor-winning author Vivian Middleburg makes her author-illustrator debut with this picture book that serves as a love letter to the magic of storytelling. Next slide. And that's it for me. Here's some information of how you can find out some more details about our upcoming picture books, as well as middle grade and young adult titles if you're interested in those as well. You can sign up for our Random House Teachers and Librarians newsletter at the link noted there, and follow along with us at RHCB Educators and the Random Schoolhouse for more details, more downloadables, and more resources. And of course, there's the URL for our Random House Teachers and Librarians website as well, that aggregates all of that content for you guys.
Thank you so much, Katie. And another big thank you to all of today's presenters. Tomorrow, all attendees will receive an email containing links to today's slide presentation, title list, certificate of completion, and video recording. For more about Booklist webinars, be sure to visit booklistonline.com/webinars, where you can view archives of past webinars and register for upcoming ones like those you see here. Attention all library workers, educators, booksellers, and students. We have a special subscription offer exclusive to webinar attendees. Subscribe to Booklist now and stay on top of the latest books, glean readers' advisory guidance, and get collection development advice through print and digital editions of Booklist and access to Booklist Online. Plus, our Booklist subscription now comes with free digital and shareable copies of our new product for patrons, Booklist Reader. Scan the QR code or visit our website for more details. Thank you for joining us for today's webinar. One more huge thank you to our panelists and to our sponsors, Free Spirit Publishing, Gnome Road Publishing, and Random House Children's Books. This concludes today's webinar. See you next time.